So till now, as we studied the seepage and its effect on the effective stress, so we found out that if the seepage is taking place in the downward direction, effective stress increases, and if it is taking place in the upward direction, effective stress decreases. But it is a very simple case of seepage because we are just considering either it to be in upward or downward direction. In field conditions such as flow under sheet piles or under dams, either masonry or earth dam, in that case the flow will not be unidirectional, it will either be two dimensional or three dimensional. So the most general case should be of three dimensional, but it is very complex and out of syllabus, so we have to focus on the 2D case of seepage. So why do we want to study the seepage? Because it is associated with many problems. Because if seepage is taking place, that means water is being lost if it is a case of reservoir, and reduction in unit weight. So if the seepage is in upward direction, so unit weight of soil will also reduce, and uplift pressure. So uplift pressure reduces the stability of the dams or hydraulic structure. So we'll understand it further. So there are some assumptions made to understand the seepage. Let's see those assumptions first. The first assumption is soil mass is fully saturated, and so the Darcy law is valid. Soil mass is homogeneous and isotropic, that means the coefficient of permeability is constant in both the directions. But we'll see the case of anisotropy also, where kx and ky are different for x and y direction. And soil grains and water are incompressible, that means there is no volume change. Volume does not change, and flow is steady, that means the flow does not change with time. So using the Darcy's law, we know that velocity is ki, and because we are considering 2D case, so Vx is equal to kx, and I can be written as dh upon dx if h is the head loss, and similarly Vy is equal to ky dh upon dy. And now if we consider an element and flow through it, so this is an element and this is dx dy, and perpendicular to the screen is dz. So flow is coming in and going out, so if incoming flow is Vx times dy dz, because dy dz will be the perpendicular cross sectional area, and in the x direction outgoing flow is Vx plus dv del Vx upon del x dx times area, that is dy dz. Similarly in the y direction, that is Vy dx dz, and outgoing is Vy plus del Vy upon del y dy into dx dz. So if we use the principle of mass conservation, it is conservation of mass, so using that, the incoming flow or the incoming volume per unit time should be equal to the outgoing volume per unit time. So because flow is in that is water and soil grains are incompressible, so for water the unit weight is constant, so we can simply write the volume in terms of volume. So uh, outgoing flow, so this and this part is the outgoing, Vx plus del Vx upon del x dx dy dz plus Vy plus del Vy upon del y dy dx dz is equal to the incoming. So incoming is this plus this, It is Vx dy dz plus Vy dx dz. So if you solve this, and because here this term will come dx dy dz, that is the volume of this element, volume of element. And because we said that soil grains and water are both incompressible, so volume will not change. So dx dy dz is equal to 0. And so if you solve this, so we will get del Vx upon del x plus del Vy upon del y is equal to 0. That is the equation of continuity. And now if we put the value of Vx and Vy from here, Vx and Vy in this equation, so we will get del x, del by del x, kx dh by dx plus del by del y, ky dh by dy is equal to 0. Now because we said that the soil mass is homogeneous, that means that kx and ky are not function of x and y. That means if it is the location, so at this point what is the value of kx, it will remain after a certain distance x also, it will remain as kx. So it is not depending upon x, so we can bring it out of this differentiation. So kx del square h by del x square plus similarly ky del square h by del y square is equal to 0. And one more thing, because soil is isotropic, it means that kx and ky are also equal, that is equal to k. Means that in both the directions k is equal. So from here we get del square h by del x square plus del square h by del y square is equal to 0. And this is the Laplace equation, and it defines how the flow will take place and how the energy is dissipated in that flow. So here I have written, so it describes how the energy head, that is the head of water, hydraulic head we can say, hydraulic head in case of water flow, how it is dissipated as the flow takes place through soil. And so by solving it we can find out the flow and flow conditions. So the solution of this equation is given by two set of curves, that is one is the flow lines and other is the equipotential lines, and these both lines are orthogonal to each other. That is, if one set of lines is like this, so other is like this, so this is orthogonal. And what are their properties? Flow lines means that flow takes place between these lines, between flow lines, means that there cannot be any flow across the flow lines. So if flow is taking place between these two flow lines, so the water cannot cross this flow line. And similarly for equipotential lines are lines that connect the points of equal head loss or equal head we can say. So at these points the head remaining is equal. So let's see further about these. So the very important use of flow net is to find out the seepage through soil. So let's see how it is done. This is a part of flow net, and so these horizontal lines are the flow lines and vertical lines are the equipotential lines. So as I said, the flow will take place between the flow lines, and the equipotential lines define the points of equal head. So at this point, and this point, at one equipotential line the value of h will be same. So the flow field is defined as the field between two equipotential lines and two flow lines. So this area or this area, this is a flow field. It is confined between two flow lines and two equipotential lines. So let's write the discharge through any of these fields. So let's see for these 1, 2 and 3 flow fields. So delta Q1, if I write, so from the Darcy's law, it is KIA. I is H by length of flow. So B is in the horizontal direction, so that is the length of flow. And let's say delta H1 is the head loss in this flow field. So delta H1 upon B1, that is the length of flow, and area is given as, that is KI, and A is the A1 is the vertical distance, and we are assuming unit length perpendicular to the screen, so that is K delta H1 by B1 into A1. Similarly, Q2 delta Q2 is equal to K delta H2 into A2 upon B2, and Q3 is equal to K delta H3 A3 upon B3. So there are now some concepts, because flow lines, as we described in such a way that no flow takes place across flow lines. So because of that, if delta q1 is coming from here, so no flow will be lost between these two lines, so it should be same as delta q2. So using that property, delta q1 is equal to delta q2, and if we put these two equal, so here we'll get k delta h into a1 upon b1 is equal to k delta h2 a2 upon b2. K is same, so here we got this. And because between these channel 2 and channel 3, in channel 2 and channel 3, these are between two same, I mean the equipotential drop between these two is same. That is, if it is h2 here, or h1 dash here, or h2 dash here, so that difference delta h is same for both of these. So that is delta h2 is equal to delta h3. And if we use this equation, so delta h2 is equal to delta q2 times b2 upon a2, and divided by k is it is equal to delta q3 divided by k into b3 upon a3. Now these the geometry of flow net is designed in such a way that all these flow fields are elementary squares. So all flow fields are elementary squares. Elementary square doesn't mean that it is a square. It may be a square or it may not be a square. It may be linear, the dimension may be linear or curvilinear. So what does it mean by elementary square? That is the ratio of their lengths, that is a1 upon b1, it is equal to a2 upon b2, it is equal to a3 upon b3, and it may equal to 1 or it may not equal to 1. So first let's see for when it is equal to 1. So when it is equal to 1, that means here b2 upon a2 is equal to b3 upon a3, k will also cancel out, so q2 is equal to q3, and in this equation we saw that q1 is equal to q2, so delta q1 is equal to delta q2 is equal to delta q3, and it's equal to delta q. And similarly delta h2 is equal to delta h3, and in this equation, because these two are equal, So delta H1 and delta H2 are also equal. So delta H1 is equal to delta H2 is equal to delta H3, and let's say that is equal to delta H. So it means that in all the flow fields, discharge is same, and the potential drop or equipotential drop obviously means the potential drop is equal. So let's say the drop between these two is delta H, so here also it will be equal to delta H, so it is also remaining equal. So in a single field we can write delta Q is equal to K times delta H, because A1 upon B1 is equal to 1, or A upon B in general it is equal to 1 we are taking. And now if let's say total head is equal to capital H and there are n number of equipotential drops, so 1 delta H can be written as capital delta H divided by nd, and if we put this value here, so delta Q is equal to K H by nd. And now this is the flow through one of the flow fields. So if the total flow through all flow fields is equal to Q, and there are nf number of flow channels, so in that case delta Q will be equal to nf times small delta q, I mean total Q will be equal to nf times small delta q. So total Q comes out to be kh nf upon nd. So this is the discharge per unit length, because we considered that the length perpendicular to this screen is 1, so that is discharge per unit length. And so from here we can find out the seepage through the any hydraulic structure. So in this case, this A upon B, as we assume it is equal to 1, it may also not be equal to 1 if it is just a constant number. Let's say it is some value equal to n, so in that case also we can write Q is equal to kh nf upon nd times n. This is more general formula where this elementary square is having a constant ratio and which is not equal to 1, but it is still a constant value. So a1 upon b1 is equal to a2 upon b2, these all are equal to n. So in that case we can write it like this. And after that there are some more points. So this nf upon nd, here it is called as shape factor. And so from here we can say the discharge is a function of permeability, head loss and shape factor. And this shape factor, it only depends upon the boundary conditions. So it means that if this value of Q is changed, then also flow net will not change. If the soil is changed, that means the coefficient of permeability is changed, then also flow net does not change. And head loss also if changes, then also flow net does not change. It only changes when the geometry by the meaning of boundary conditions, we mean that the geometry changes, then only flow net changes. So for the same geometry, the flow net will be same. So there are some other uses also of flow net that I'll cover in next video.